Lately, yoga has become very, very popular, mainstream. And it's easy to hear in the yoga community a lot of complaint about the negative effects that come with this spread of the yoga in the Western world. On a positive note, what would you like to see happen in the yoga community?
Probably the most important thing would be for people to acknowledge that we are not natural bodies. The postures that are commonly taught and practiced were designed for natural bodies. People who are very flexible, strong, naturally from childhood, and they grew up in a way with their body maintained. A natural physical body, a natural stress-free physiology, and a calm, peaceful mind that lives mostly in the present moment with a sense there is connection all around us. Because to me, yoga means connection in the here and now. A sense that you are connected to everything around you and you treat everything like it's part of you, respectfully. The environment, the people around you. And the sense that most of the time you should be living in the here and now. Not worried about what happened before, not freaking out about what could happen in the future. And make this come as a most important thing. Natural people did this. So to recognize that we're not natural, that we're living in a modern world, we have to adapt our practice for the modern world. That's important. Then to recognize that really to educate people who are not living in the natural world, who are not natural people, you need to understand two main things. What was traditional yoga? What is the modern body consisting of? So you need to learn two main things at depth. Learn the traditional yoga system, but recognize you have an unnatural modern body, not the traditional body. And so study a little bit about anatomy and physiology. Learn the way traditional people learned, which was often you'd go learn from your teacher for 7 or 8 years minimum, 6 to 8 hours a day, before you would be asked to go teach something yourself. So one of the biggest tragedies of modern yoga, which has happened in the last 20 years only, is that people think they can go and teach after just 200 hours. And this to me is a big shame. Because modern yoga, to be really taught properly, requires the understanding that is required to have by a Western doctor, a Western physiotherapist, and a Western psychologist, all rolled up into one. And if someone were to open up a practice and say, I'm a doctor, I'm a physiotherapist and a psychologist, you can come to me, I've just finished my 200-hour training, you'd be laughed at. Doctors would be insulted. Physiotherapists would be insulted. Psychologists would be insulted. I believe to be a yoga teacher in the world today, most people need a lot more training than they're being given. And so that is my big message. Learn more. And if you're not having that level of education, then teach what should be taught. The simple stuff. It's okay to go and do a first aid course. But if you're doing a first aid course, which takes 2 or 3 days to learn, then teach people, treat people with what you've learned in the first aid course. You're allowed to maybe put band-aids on. But don't do open heart surgery if you've just done a first aid course. You know, if you learn a basic course in psychology, treat people with the basic tenets of psychology. Talk to them nicely. But don't give them, complex drugs that require the understanding of a psychiatrist. If you go to a simple movement course, treat people with simple posture and movement. Don't treat people with complex principles of physiotherapy that's taken 4 years to learn. So what I'm saying is, nothing wrong with learning the 200-hour teacher training course in yoga, but teach people at the level that you expect to learn if you've learned 200 hours. But most people are teaching complex posture, movement and breathing, which affects you the same level that someone who really understands medical science, with a doctor's understanding, a physiotherapist's understanding, and a psychiatrist's understanding, when you've only got 200 hours of training. So nothing wrong with teaching, but keep it simple, keep it safe. Most people are teaching stuff which is way too difficult, way too unsafe, unless you have an understanding as a teacher, you have an understanding in your own body, and also what could happen to other people's bodies. Keep it simple. Most of what's being taught in the world today is potentially dangerous. So keep it simple. That's my message to the modern world, I think. Keep it simple, and then third thing is follow the principles of real yoga. Those principles are what we call in yoga yama and niyama. Number one yama is not non-violence, opposite of violence. Be gentle in what you practice and what you teach and how you receive it inside your body. Being not violent is not enough. It's the opposite of violence. Be gentle. Find a balanced way of doing things. That's called satya. Then give in your practice, in your teaching to yourself. Not stealing is not the right expression. It's give. Brahmacharya to me means not no sex. It means make loving communication. And then aparigraha doesn't mean non-attachment. It means find freedom in your practice, in your body. There's no right or wrong teaching. Just be doing stuff where you can feel what feels good, what gives freedom, not what gives imprisonment. To lock yourself in a posture is not good. To think that one way of practicing is not good. So this to me talks about yama, the principles of philosophy of practice. Find a way to practice and teach in a way which is gentle, balanced, giving, of nourishing, loving communication and freedom. That to me says yama. Then on a philosophical level we talk about niyama, where they talk about saucha being something to do with cleaning. Not cleaning. Get rid of the things that block good energy and loving information inside your body. Tense less, stretch less, breathe less, think less, eat less. This I call saucha. Find a way of bringing happiness to the body. Happiness, contentment. Don't just be content with the outcome. Do things and then choose a way of feeling happy. Tapas is not something which is arduous or hardship. Tapas to me means make a passionate quest, an inner quest, a burning desire to do something which is passionate. Svadhyaya means find inside what's going on. Study yourself. Learn anatomy, physiology, learn how to teach. Make a passionate inner quest to find what's going on. Ishvara Pranidhan means love. It means connection. Not devotion to an external principle you might call God, not that there's anything wrong with that, but find that love inside yourself when you practice, when you teach. So to me, niyama says, make a passionate inner quest to remove the obstacles of happiness and loving connection. Do that in your own practice, do that in your teaching. And when you finish it in your own practice, maybe you'll feel that message, and maybe that message could be shared. But the way most people are practicing exercise and posture, it's causing problems in many people's bodies, physically, physiologically and mentally. Otherwise, if it wasn't, why are so many people starting yoga and then stopping? The statistics I notice around the world is that only 1 in 20 people takes up the modern practice of yoga after a year or so. Half the people will stop after their first class. Of the remaining half, 19 out of 20 stop by the end of the first year. So if yoga was so good, why don't people keep doing it? Mostly it's not done appropriately. What we want is a practice that's physically effective, physiologically effective, and sustainable, and mentally in a way that's going to keep you feeling loving, calm, and this sort of stuff. Make this practice, and then I think people will do it. I think hopefully that gives a message. Be loving, be nice, spread good energy and loving information. Then I think we could call it yoga. Thank you.
Thank you.